Hi guys, I'm Darren, and in this video we'll be checking out the new SpeedyBee Bee35 Pro frame. So this is my first quad frame review, so forgive me if I'm not quite as good as the other guys doing this, but I have started flying quads and am enjoying them. And actually this small size is something that I've been interested in checking out, so when SpeedyBee said, would you like to review this, I thought, yeah, let's give it a go. Now this is the Pro version, and there is a standard version and also coming soon an LED version. So checking out the SpeedyBee website, we can see this quad. I'll put a link in the video description, but this is what we have here, the Bee35 Pro, which is about €36 or about $40, probably about 36, 37 pounds. And the standard version is about $35, €32, probably similar in pounds, £32. The main difference between the Pro and the standard version is the Pro version has this aluminium heatsink on the bottom, made for digital VTXs because they tend to get quite warm. This has been designed for DJI, but other systems will fit in there just fine too. So let's say we have a look in the box. Right, so this thing turns up in this cardboard box, which is actually quite thin. And yeah, to be honest, this is a bit bigger than some of the 5 inches I've got. And the reason is because of this frame here. So let's get this stuff out of the way first. So we have a manual download card, which is always really useful. I do prefer these to paper manuals now because you can just download them and stick them on your phone and you've always got the manual with you. We get some TPU printed parts. This actually feels quite a sturdy TPU. It's not so squishy as most of the other stuff out there. We'll take a look at those later. Some more printed parts. A box of goodies, and this is for the gimbal. We get a battery strap, and now we get down to the main frame parts. So we have some aluminium pieces, we have a non-slip battery pad, we have this plastic frame for the props, and then we have the main carbon frame. Now I was hoping to do an actual build of this in this video, but unfortunately parts haven't arrived, so I'm just going to show you this and I'll do the build and show what that's like in a separate video. I was hoping to do the usual trick of chuck it on the table and all of a sudden it's built, but seeing as we don't actually have the parts, I can't actually do that. But we can still take a look at what we get. So we get this pretty tough plastic main outer. These are obviously the ducts for the rotors. Inside of that, we will have our carbon piece. And the nice thing is all like the standoff parts have already been sunk into the carbon. So it's going to be a nice and easy assembly. And then we get into all the sort of sub parts. So we have these aluminium pieces here, which are for the camera mounts. So you can see here we have some yellow and black TPU printed parts which actually go into these circles here, and that is so you can use different cameras. So these are, the black is 19x2, so that's going to be most sort of micro size cameras, and the yellow is 20x2, so that's going to be if you're using DJI. So they will just slot into these inserts and then the camera will be spaced properly. Right, so let's check out some of these 3D printed parts as well. So we have this part here, which is actually quite a nice little feature. And what it allows you to do is connect up the USB output from your flight controller or VTX to make it easier to update. You also get these two cables here, which you will then plug onto there and then plug that into the device that you want easy access to. If you're using WalkSnail, for example, you could just unsolder some of these and put them directly onto the VTX and access it. But yeah, that gives you some nice options to make it easy to update the flight controller or the video system using an external USB port. This part here slots into the top of the plastic, like so. And we have a few other things on here. So the first thing of note is this little part here. You can attach your GPS. So this is made for a 1:1 size GPS module. If you wanted a different size, you could probably quite easily print something out of TPU. So we have this section here which will support a T-style antenna. If it's a 900 megahertz antenna, you can add these little supports on the side as well to give it extra support, which is a really nice touch. Of course, if it's 2.4, you don't need to worry about that. If you can see in the top, there's also a couple of holes if you've got whip style antennas. They could also potentially be used for a dual video system. And then also on the top in the middle, you have an output for a single video antenna. So there's a lot of thought gone into this, which is great to see. Another part that we get is this TPU part, which will hold a GoPro, any of the standard sort of GoPro mountings. Next up we have this piece, and this is what makes this the Pro version. This is aluminium rather than carbon, so it's designed to dissipate heat, and you'd put your VTX in this section here. This bit of TPU has been designed to screw on to the frame to hold in the air unit if you're using the DJI air unit, or there are spacing holes underneath to screw up into if you're using a different type. Right, so just to see what sizes we have here, the outer holes are about 25.5, so walk snail will fit in there. And I'm imagining the inner holes are going to be about 20. Yep, so the inner holes are 20mm pitch. So there's a fair range of VTXs you'll be able to fit in there. We also get this little piece here, which bolts on there. Right, so we get this top plate, which will obviously go on there, and there is a non-slip battery plate. And then you can put your battery strap through, or you can actually put your battery strap around the outside. But yeah, nice grippy bit of rubber. So we get a bunch of different screws for different options on this system. So we've got DJI, Run Cam Link, and these are basically different length screws for attaching the different devices. And we get a load more screws in another bag. So we have for camera and motor, we have for 25.5 all-in-one, we have a 2020 stack, we have lots of different screws which are pretty nicely labeled. So when you're actually building this thing, following the manual, then everything should have its place. So we've got some standoffs, we've got this adapter here that goes between the two camera holding plates, and this thing should fly together quite nicely. Okay, so here we have the frame mostly built. As you can see, there are plenty of spare screws. I mean, bear in mind, I haven't got a camera in here and I haven't got a flight controller in here, so some of these will be used up. I also haven't put the ones in the 3D print because I wanted to give them the most grip when I install it properly for the first time. But there's a lot of screws here that I have used and they have provided spares, so that's really nice to know. As far as putting this frame together goes, it has been very nicely thought out, and if you follow the instructions, it all goes together really quite simply. Even though there are different size screws, it's not difficult to get this thing built up if you follow the instructions. And with that, let's take a quick look at the instructions because they almost caught me out. So I was looking through the manual and you start seeing all this sort of stuff. So it's got the installation for the camera bit and a bit about the antenna. And then it goes into the flight controller, which so far so good. It's giving you the different mounting holes for the different layouts. And the ESC gives you a scale length, which the scale length isn't so great when it's not a printed manual. So don't hold up your motor wires to the screen, but it's got recommended cable lengths. All so far so good. The bit that started confusing me was this page right here for the installation of the CNC cooling parts, where it says install this part first, then this part, then this part. But if you'd seen on the previous screens, there's no mentions of screw sizes or whatever. Just keep scrolling, because when you get past this part, the installation becomes back to normal again. So I'd actually recommend not doing this step first. You can maybe attach the camera part if you want, but I would start with this step right here, because getting these little screws in when it's inside is a bit trickier than when you've got it outside. So I would do this part first and then put that whole unit up inside the frame and then carry on from here. But from then on, it's really nice and straightforward to how you set this up. It's really straightforward. All the different screws are different colors. So we have the green and pink here for the GoPro holder, so the sizes, the purples for the top plate, the reds for the sort of main plate or bottom plate, whatever you want to call it. The blues, which actually they should already be in there, but they're showing them again. You got the standoffs here as well, which go in between the bottom plate and this top plate. But yeah, the actual build guide is really nice, well written, and if you follow it, you can't really go wrong. So yeah, really good job here. They've even got the optional anti-vibration GoPro holder. So yeah, my first thoughts on this is that it's a really nice frame. The manual is good, it's been well thought out. The next step is for me to actually get some components installed in here and see, firstly, how easy a proper build is. I've just thrown this together, but how easy is a proper build, which I'm actually thinking it's going to be really quite simple, because once this sort of main carbon plate is off, the all-in-one will go on the bottom of it. Well, so it'll be the top when you're working on it. The motors are here, so it's all going to be nice and easy to solder up. The only thing that may cause issues is the VTX connecting that to the flight controller, but if you've got a reasonably long cable, that's not really going to be an issue either. And then just sandwich it all together. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting this built up, which I will do ASAP as soon as the parts arrive, and we'll have a continuation video. So one thing that I will point out, which I found on this page, which is actually the product details page, so it's not like it's been hidden, is this will support 20mm, 25.5 and 30.5 size flight controllers, but it recommends if you're a beginner not using a 30.5 size flight controller, because it's quite a compact build and it's going to take a bit of skill to get that in there. I'm going to throw myself in at the deep end and see how hard it is to get a 30.5 stack in there. Partly because I have SpeedyBee's F405 V4, so that's going to be going in here. We'll see how difficult it is. I've not built a 3.5 inch quad before, so let's see if I can actually get this done in a neat enough build. But we'll see that in the next video. Until then, thank you very much for watching, guys. Fly models like you stole them, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.